Hello friends, welcome to part 3 of the Gravely C8 engine replacement. As I said in part 2, this had the Fairbanks Morse Magneto on it, and when we first got the machine I had to, it had no spark, so I had to clean the points out, and I know I didn't cap the points right. So I did take the Magneto off after we were done filming part 2. And on this front bolt underneath, I was able to use my 1/4 inch ratchet with the 9/16 socket, shallow socket on it. And for the rear one, I was able to use a 12-point combination box wrench. I used the box part of it to get this bolt loose. And this is definitely a different setup on a newer Gravely here, the 1973. So I have to use the longer bolts to put. We're going to be putting a Whiteco Magneto back on, and as you saw, we got as far as taking this apart here up to this point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish pulling the engine off here. Also, I mentioned the fan belt pulley underneath just kind of fell off the donor engine, and I took the pulley off here, and I don't know if it's the crankshaft or maybe when I put the starter clutch back on it'll press on better, but when I took the starter clutch off this engine, the pulley just more or less fell off. So I just got a tie strapped on there for now. So what I'm going to do is, unfortunately, when I had this engine off the last time, I didn't have a gasket, so I had to use gasket maker, the RTD. So I don't know how hard it's going to be to pull this engine off after I take the bolts out. I mean, it makes a good seal and everything, but we have to go to take something apart again. It's a little difficult sometimes. And unfortunately, I'm like hurrying up this project, so I never ordered a engine to trans gasket again, so I'm gonna have to use the RTB again to put this back together. So I'll get set up and we'll begin by pulling off the oil lines, and then I have some bolts left we have to pull off to get the engine off. So let me get set up for that, and I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna undo the oil lines real quick here. I already loosened them, and I already lost the wrench. I don't know where I put it. I'll be right back. Okay, I got the wrench. Any closer and the wrench would have bit me. Just trying to get my glove on. Alright, so I loosened the 2 oil lines. And then as I pointed out in part 2, this had a T in it, but we're not doing it that way. We're going to put this this L fitting, I'll call it. We'll put this on the other engine, and we'll just work on it like that. Put everything back to the original way that it was on the C8 here. I'm just going to swing this out of the way here, I guess. And I'll just tighten this part back up here. My main concern is bending. I don't want to bend any lines, so the less we have to take off, the better here. But I'll probably walk into it and bend it. I don't know. Who knows? I might use some Teflon tape on this before we screw it back into the block. And then we have one line to do on the other side to take off. and then we can pull the engine. I'll take the rest of the engine bolts out and we'll take care of that. So just get this line out here. Okay, let's go to the other side. Okay, so the other side, it was a 1/2 inch wrench. I think this side here for this line here, it's going to be 9/16. Let me see if I can get the camera better. I sprayed some brake cleaner on these lines here to clean them up a little bit because we don't want to introduce any grease or grime into the new engine, the new old engine. We got that out. I'm going to put you over here and we'll get the rest of the bolts out here. Okay, so where this top bracket bolts are, it's a nut and a bolt. So we'll undo those now. Yeah, it's all the way out. The bottom one's just a bolt with no nut. So what I'll do is I'll pull this whole thing off here. I'll put the nut back on the top part so we put it in exactly how we took it off. And then we'll go around to the other side, do the other side. As I said in part 2, we're using all the hardware off this, and I explained why. So I'm going to leave a link to part 2 so you can check it out. I think I might unscrew that fitting right now off camera. That fitting I told you that goes in the block for the oil line. Okay, so the last thing we have to take off is the engine block has a stud on it, and this comes in through the transmission, and I have to take this nut off here. Now the engine we're putting on there just had a bolt in there, so I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll try to wiggle and pull this engine off. And I took that what do you call it, that L fitting, I took it off this and I put it on the other block already, so it's ready to be, you know, the oil lines are ready to be put back on again. Another thing I want to mention is this Magneto coupler doohickey over here. This has to come off so that otherwise, if you have this on, it won't clear the transmission when you pull the engine off. I just wanted to let you know that. Yeah, that's about it right now. So I'll be back in a second or two. Alright, so the engine wasn't really too stuck on there right now. I'm able to just pull this thing off here. I want to mention too first, the clutch, the starter clutch, pulley assembly here. I asked you to comment me in part 2 if you know where to get that special socket, because I shattered mine, the one that I made, and I saw a company called Kogan, and when I looked it up, and they said temporarily out of stock right now. So if anybody knows where I can get one, and that was the only listing that I saw so far. I didn't really go crazy looking, you know, to see if I could find any others. I looked for briefly a moment, and that was the only company I saw. It was Kogan, it said. So. Okay, so we got this now. See, so I almost went to bend the liner out of the oil line, but we're all right. It'll be all right. Let me just shut this camera off for a moment. I want to clean the surfaces here. Oh, I think it had the gasket on there. I don't know. Well, at any rate, I'll see what condition that gasket's in. I already cleaned the surface on the engine we're putting on, so I'll be back to you momentarily. Okay, so I cleaned off this surface, and like I said, the engine we're putting on, I cleaned that surface. So I put the RTB on the engine part so we could stay away from getting any RTB on this. I don't like doing it this way, but I have no choice. I think I have the camera far away to where I'm not going to knock it over. So I'm going to try to place this engine on here, and we'll see what happens here. Gotta try to grab this such a way here. Gotta try to get comfortable here with this. That's no good. Hit the sun right in my eyes so I can't see. I think we got a problem here. like this is gonna work. I have to get back to you. I don't know if this engine's gonna work. What a botched job this job turned out to be. See the camshaft here? I'm pretty sure it's the camshaft. On these, I guess it's an older engine, and it sticks out this far here. So it wasn't clearing the transmission here. So what I did was I just notched out the tranny so the engine would fit on, and I got the engine to push on here. And hopefully we gotta hope for the best with this thing. This is like unbelievable. This engine's not for this tractor, so, but I like to make it work. So let's see what happens. Now we got noise in the background, so I think I'm just gonna bolt the engine up. You saw how I took it off, and after I bolt the engine up, and I might hook up the oil lines. Well, we're gonna do the Magneto next while everything's wide open. I'll put the magnet, we'll set the timing. I'll show you how I set the timing to do this. Okay, be back soon. Okay, so I bolted the engine on, and I also hooked up all the oil lines, the 2 or 3 of them. I hooked them back up, and right now we're at the point of the Magneto here. So this is a Waco Magneto, and in the shop manual, Gravely says to take the head off, bring it all the way to top dead center, and then back the piston down about, I don't know if it was 5/16 or 3/8. I'm not sure because I never do it that way, but I did read about it because I have an owner's manual. And what I do with this is I bring the piston all the way up to top dead center, and then you have that wiggle room. So I back down a little bit, and then I just turn. I just make the piston just come up. As soon as it comes up to the top, then I set my timing. So if you do it the way Gravely says it, and you back the piston down, you can see the 2 lines here. There's a line on here and a line on here, right? What I do is, like I said, I bring it to top dead center, and I just turn this until it lines up with the 2 dots here, and it works great every time, never a problem. So I'm going to try to set up the camera the best I can, and then we'll install this thing, and I'll get right back to you in a second or 2. I got the camera set up the best I could. I don't know if there's going to be a glare. You're not going to be able to see what I'm doing, but I'll show you the best I can on what to do here. So first thing you want to do is slide this piece on. This is the adjustment, right? So you're going to slide this on there so the bolt is facing straight up. So you go ahead and you slide this on. Okay. Then you could actually take your Magneto and place it down where it belongs. And these bolts, like I said, the bolts are come straight up. There's 2 of them. They come straight up a bracket. They're a little bit of a pain to put in, but let me see if I can get this spacer to go on here after I bolt the Magneto up. I think you can. Pretty sure you can. So I'm going to put a couple of bolts in the Magneto. I'm going to put them in right now. So you're going to stick your bolts straight up here. And like I said, well, I don't know if I can put that spacer on now. Not really sure. Maybe, maybe not. Nah. You have to put the spacer on first. Here. You know, this adjuster thing here, this doohickey, it only goes back so far and then it hits the trans. So I'm gonna have to take this bolt back out. You really don't have to worry about adjusting the timing right now until you mount the Magneto in, and then you can adjust your timing. Okay, so you're going to want to stick your spacer in here now. It's a little bit of a pain to do, but I don't know where this timing mark. So that's sort of not right. I have to play around with this spacer right here. There's 2 notches here, 2 notches on the other side. I have to get it to where it's corresponds, where I can get to the adjustment bolt too. So I'll be right back. So if you just put your hand down here, I can use my left. I'm both lefty and righty. You can twist these bolts in. And the bolt that's towards the engine, like I was telling you, I think in the last video, I'm not sure when I told you, I have to use a 12-point box wrench. And then this front bolt here, I could use a quarter-inch ratchet with a shallow 9/16 socket. So I have everything all set up here. Now when I tighten it up, I'll show you. Okay, bad glare here anyway. Okay, so you can see that mark on the Magneto here, the turns, is lined up with the 2 dots. Okay, so if I was to back this engine down to where it goes from line to line, like Gravely tells you, the piston will probably be that 5/16 or 3/8 lower. They probably tell you to do it that way. With the Fairbanks Morse, I just noticed there's only 1 mark that you go by, so maybe that's why they tell you that way, but this is how I do it the easiest way, and you don't have to pull a head off. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and just start putting everything else together again, and then if anything interesting comes up, I'll get back to you. But we're going to get to the part where I'm going to have this thing all together, and maybe we'll start it up today on this video. We probably definitely will. I don't see any, well, I shouldn't even say I don't see any other problems that can occur, because there probably will be. I mean, that was a close one with this engine. I didn't think it was going to fit, but I figured, what the heck, man, just cut out part of the transmission where that camshaft comes out, or whatever that shaft is. Has to be the camshaft, I would say. Yeah, because on the newer engines, it doesn't have that shaft that comes out like that. You Gravely guys know better than me with these, but alright, so I'll be back to you probably before we started it up, or like I say, if anything interesting occurs, any more malfunctions. Well, guys and girls, place your bets. See if this thing starts. I have to make sure it has oil pressure, make sure there's no leaks, make sure it runs, period. So let's give it a whirl and see what happens. If it runs and runs decent, then I'll put the air cleaner on, because this place is dusty and dirty. I don't want to take it for a ride without the air cleaner on it, but I want to leave it off for now in case I have to make adjustments if it starts. And let's see what happens. I checked the oil, it's still full, and the oil's pretty good in it. It didn't even have but 3 or 4 hours on the oil when I changed it, and we didn't spill any oil doing this job. So let's see what happens here. I'm not sure about this governor business. I got it back on there. I'm not used to governors, really. I don't know if I have it hooked up right. I don't know. I have it hooked up right. I don't know if it's adjusted properly. The oil pressure, it has an oil pressure gauge is up, so it's got oil pressure. So I might just make a little carburetor adjustment on it. I'll put the plow on it, and then I'll put the sulky on it, and then we'll take it for a ride. I almost had a heart attack. The machine wouldn't move. It's because of the high-low range lever. I must have moved it into neutral when we were doing the work on it. So that seems to be okay. So I'll be back. It has a misfire. It's very possible it could be the spark plug, and that's what I'm hoping it is. You hear it start backfiring a little bit here and there. So I'll pull the plug out and see what that looks like before it gets too hot. I put a plug in it that's dead wrong for this. It's not going to hurt it, but it cleared it up. I don't hear any more backfiring or anything. So, alright, let me put the plow on it. I'll put the air cleaner on it and the sulky. We'll take it for a little test drive. Alright, it's not too bad. We'll do a couple of laps here and see how it does. I put the air cleaner back on. I don't know if you saw that under a load. It puffs oil, and then the third time I did it, it didn't. We have to let this run. I'll run it around and, see how it does. I don't even know if you were in camera view. I think you were when it was puffing the oil like that. But I don't know, for the most part, it's pretty good. It's not like the star of my YouTube channel, the L8. It doesn't sound as powerful as it. Even though this has a 20 thousandths over piston in it. We gotta give this thing a chance. Because I think when I bought the 54, I'm pretty sure that the guy hardly even used it after the rebuild on it. And I don't know. Alright, so thank you all for watching the series. I enjoyed doing it, and I enjoyed having you with me. And I'll put part 2. Maybe part 1 and part 2. This way you can watch the series and see exactly what was going on with the build. So, yeah, this was a close one here again. I almost thought I couldn't use this engine on here because of that crankshaft sticking out like that. Or whatever that is. I'm pretty sure it is. There's one on the other side too, but it doesn't stick out like that. So we were able to use it. And I didn't do any harm to the transmission. I just cut a little piece out so that we're clear. So the shaft will clear. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. And stay safe.